Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Try This Dog Podcast. I'm your host, Leo. Let's go. So I want to talk for the new viewers out there. I want to give a little bit of a little back timeline, what I was talking about in my last video. And this, I'm going to start off where I went to Monroe Correctional Facility. It's a correctional facility out there by Seattle, Washington. And this is where I went, for the first, after when I got in trouble, I got caught with some weed in one facility. I ended up going to Monroe. I ended up assaulting a CO there, a correctional officer, and an inmate at the same time. Well, I'm going to start off here with this video, what's transpired after that. So I also want to correct myself, because in my last video, like I said, it's been about 14 years maybe since this incident occurred. So I want to correct myself in saying that it wasn't. I said that I got out the hole on a Wednesday. By Friday, I was back in the hole, and I was mistaken. I was probably there on mainline at Monroe for a good 2 weeks. I want to say a good 2 weeks before that happened in the chow hall, because when we go to chow, we always have to wait for a homie, right? You always have to have 2 or 3 people that you're going to chow with. It's for security reasons, especially during this time. It was already, word had already came down, from the penitentiary and to different facilities that, hey man, it's go time. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no more peace treaty. Like, it's time to go. So that I was already sharpening my mind, to the idea, like, hey man, I'm gonna end up spending quite a bit of time in the hole if I want to earn my respect, earn my stripes, right? So we go back to that day. So me and 2 of my homies were walking to chow. This was in Monroe. We were walking to chow, and we're chopping it up. Just still being alert. Because you always got to be on your toes, regardless, man. It don't have to be an op or an enemy or nothing like that. It could be somebody from another race, or you know what I'm saying. There's a lot of weirdos in there, so you can never be too sure. So we ended up going, man, and it was I remember this like it was yesterday, because it was like one of my favorite meals. We were having breakfast for dinner, and we were all looking forward to it. You know what I'm saying? And I remembered it vividly, man. We sat down to eat our food. We sat down, and my homies are sitting there right across from me, and all we hear is we hear a guy. He yelled out his gang, right? He yelled out his set, and he just came flying through the chow hall, man, and bam, caught my homie on the side of his face. You know what I'm saying? Just drilled him. So we got up, obviously normal reaction. Boom, we get up, we start giving him the business. We start getting him up. We start getting this dude, right? We start getting him on him. And I mean, it's 3-on-1. They ain't going to do much, homie, so it's, we got him pretty good. So I ended up going back to the hole, and that was when my mom came to visit me, man. And she was so heartbroken because, she's just like, man, well, what's going on? And I always give her some bullshit excuse, like, I got in trouble, or they're just coming and giving us shit and bringing us all up, taking us to the hole as a race, or like as a, just me and my homies are just coming and taking us to the hole, just doing investigations or what have you. I always came up with something. And so I ended up staying in the hole there for that time. I probably was like in the hole there for like 9 months that time. And in Monroe, I was in the hole for 9 months. And throughout these 9 months, we keep in contact with homies from other prisons. So I'm getting word that it's like, it's really go time. You feel me? So I know when I go up to the Bay, because I knew I was either gonna go to Washington State Penitentiary versus the real penitentiary. It's like you see in the movies, like with the bars, the cells with the bars and stuff. Like that's what Walla Walla's at before they built the new units, which I'll let you guys know about later on in my journey. So I ended up going up to the Bay. And like I said, anytime you get shipped out from a prison to go to another prison, you have to go to Shelton. You get reclassified, or you have to stay there for a little bit, and especially if you're in IMU, which is intensive management unit, which is the hole. So if they send you to the hole there, if you're in the hole and you're gonna go do a program, or they're gonna ship you to another facility, and at the time they had this, the administration, they knew that there was a war going on, because they started cracking off like throughout the whole state, right? So they knew what was going on. So anybody that they classified as a gang member, they would put us in the hole just for safety reasons. So we wouldn't go out to the yard like while we're being transferred. We won't go out to this yard and start kicking up politics, start trying to get people riled up. Like, man, let's roll, So they throw us in the hole. So I went from the hole in Monroe for like 9 months, and then I went into Shelton. I probably was there maybe 2 months, and on my way, and they finally sent me to Clallam Bay. And so they already had me classified, right? Because I had caught 2 assaults in Monroe, on 2 known gang members. So they had me classified as a gang member. And they had a guy when I was getting transferred up to Clallam Bay, From shelling this along, it's probably like 3 hours, man, to Clallam Bay. Fun little fact, that town right there where Clallam Bay's at, Forks, that's where they shot that movie Twilight. Uh, but check it out. Anyways, so I'm going up to the bay, and on the chain chain bus, on the bus up there, on the ride up there, they put one that back in that time he was an enemy, right? He was an enemy of mine. We were on two opposite sides of the field, and so he was I knew he was an older cat. He was somebody that was respected. You know what I'm saying? That I knew he was somebody that if I could get him, man, it would put a notch in my belt, right? And so we go up, we're going up to the bay, and he turns to me and he tells me, hey, you gangbang, you hit you up like, hey, homie, where you from? Who you run with? And I let him know, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey man, I'm just a Chicano, you know what I'm saying? I don't gangbang, but hey, this is who I'm with, you know what I'm saying? This is who I run with. And he just shook his head and said, all right. He said, hey man, when we get there, just give me the chance to take these off, and I'll give you the chance to take your handcuffs off, right? Because that you get shackled up, handcuffed up, you know what I'm saying? You ain't just gonna go in there into a chain getting transferred just like that. So I told him, yeah, for sure, because he was behind me. So I'm like, I'm gonna be off the chain bus first. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no rules in war. You know what I'm saying? Like if it would have took mine off for real, I probably would have got him. I would have just drilled him. I wouldn't even have waited. That's just war, man. So we get up there, right? And like I said, just a little bit ago, the administration already knew that there was a war going on. So what they would do is, if you're a classified gang member and you get there to a certain facility, to a prison, so we're sitting there, right? We get there, boom. And there's something they're called STG groups, right? Security threat group. So if you're labeled as an STG threat, what they do is you get there to the prison, and the first thing they do is they come and they're going to throw you in the hole. It's called a threat assessment. They'll leave you in there for 30 days on a threat assessment. And if they deem you too violent or too into gang shit, they're going to ship you out. They ain't going to let you on that main line. So they were doing that a lot to a lot of us that were classified because of the war that was going on. That was just barely catching. It was just barely catching steam. People were getting dropped. It was cracking. So we ended up getting there, and the first thing they do, man, the correctional officers, they go up to the chain bus, and they call my name. They say my last name, and they're like, hey, come with us. And I already knew. I'm like, man, damn, I'm going straight to the hole. Like I've been in the hole for like 9 months. And I'm like, damn it. So they take me, sure enough, man, strip me out, cuff me up again, take me straight to the hole. So I'm sitting there, and they do the same thing with the other dude, you know what I'm saying? They call his name, they bring him. They didn't let us out our cuffs while we're next to each other. They knew what time it was. So I go to the hole on threat assessment. That I go there for 30 days, right? I get out the hole. They let me out the hole finally after those 30 days. And, I get back to the main line, and I'm programming, but I already know, man, it's only a matter of time, because when I got out of the hole at the bay, like I said in my last video, every prison has different rules and regulations, man. Like, you're going to go to one prison, you're not going to be allowed to do something that you were to do at another prison, right? So we get there, and they're slowly, at that time, at the bay, they're slowly taking certain dudes off the yard, you know what I'm saying? Like, certain rivals that we had, we were, calculating the moves, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we got to get this dude when he's over here, and these two dudes while they're over there, you know what I'm saying? So that's how it was going down. And then eventually, they got whoever the last remaining guys that were there on that yard at the bay, and we were chilling for a little bit. It was everybody was still on their toes. But it was just, there was no the group. There was two groups, and one of the groups had flushed out the other group. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was none on the main line. And it's just numbers, man. It's just math. So anyways, so I'm sitting there chilling, right? Me and my cellie, I have a cellie that's cool. He had a little bit of time. And everybody's like on this tough guy shit, right? Like, hey man, but the most, and I had already, I caught 3 assaults, in one facility. So I'm like, and these guys are fairly new to the game, you know what I'm saying? They're fairly new to prison, or haven't put in any work, and so I'm like listening to this, man. I'm just like, look, man, just when one of them shows up, like, it's just go time, man, you know what I'm saying? And sure enough, man, one of them showed up. They showed up because the administration is like, nah, let's still test the waters, you know what I'm saying? Let's see what happens. So they sent one of the dudes out, and That's how it happens, man. All that tough talk, all that. Hey, man, I'll do it when it's game time, man. Like, I'll do it, man. That shit went out the window, man. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like at Monroe. If you go watch my last video where I explained where I thought this dude was, he was a heavy hitter. He turned out to be softer than marshmallow, man. But so, anyways, it was the same reoccurring theme. I'm like, man, well, like, I'm not even a gang member, man. I'm not even like officially from a gang like that. But I'm seeing like some of y'all ain't really got that in you. You know what I'm saying? So little seeds already planted in my head, like, man, so there was a debate, who's gonna handle this dude right. Like, it has to be done. Like, in the next time we go to chow, it's got to be done, man. Who's gonna, And I just got tired of the bickering, man. I got tired of the back and forth. So I'm like, man, I just got out the hole. I've been out maybe a month. So, but it is what it is, homie. Just when we go to chow tonight, just get out of my way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's game time. I'm already ready. You know what I'm saying? I got my war face on, and I'm like, man, I'm ready to go. I know what's coming. The most dreadful thing, I think, at the time, the most dreadful thing was not committing the act of violence. The most dreadful thing was that first step into that cell when you get to the hole, man, because you have nothing, and you're just like, man, here I go again. You're like, it's this feeling of despair, man. You cannot explain it in a minute, in an hour, in a day, in a month, in a year. You can't. So I'm like, man, it is what it is, right? I'm in my cell with my cellie. And, I'm telling them, like, man, I'm kind of pissed, right? But I'm like, it is what it is, homie. This is what I signed up for, so I'm going to do what I got to do. And sure enough, man, we go to chow. We go to chow that day. We go to chow, and, I'm nervous again, man. There's not one time that I wasn't nervous, man. Don't let nobody lie to you, man. If they tell you, like, oh, they put in some work and they were just, fucking He-Man. It's all bullshit, like, as a human being, man, you're like, I'm going to go try to hurt this dude, and he's going to try to hurt me. It's just real life, man, real man shit. I mean, not hurting each other. That's not real man shit. I'm saying, like, you're just like, you ain't got no choice, man. I felt I didn't have a choice at that time. I mean, later on, I'm going to talk about I'll talk about my choices, and that we always have a choice, right? I think we just weigh out the options of what's more beneficial to us. So anyways, we go to chow. They call chow. I already know what time it is. I'm ready to go. We're going, man. I got we're up at the bay, Clallam Bay. It's up there by like the Canadian border. So it's always raining. We're up there in a fucking forest, man. And so, I got my jacket on, my beanie on, man, and I'm ready to go. I'm walking to chow. I got my head down. I ain't listening to nobody, man. I know what I gotta go do. So I ain't got no appetite. We're going at dinner time. They call dinner. And so we get there. We get there first. They let us out first. And I go there. I go sit down kind of with my back a little bit to the door, because you have to come. You go in through one door. You walk, get your food, and then there's tables right there, right? And then the way to get out is the doors on this side. So you go in through the left, you come out through the right. I came and sat down over here on the right by the door to go out, because I'm like, as soon as this dude crosses my path, I'm gonna drill him. You know what I'm saying? And so he came. The dude came. They went another way to cut to their tables. But little did we know that there was two of them. We thought there was only one, because the other guy was a white dude, So he kind of blended in. He didn't say nothing. So we were just like, man. But we didn't notice at the time. Or neither did my homies, because they were just thinking, hey, man, well, D's going to go do this thing, man, and we're going to be able to chill and eat dinner and go back to ourselves, watch TV, or do whatever you got to do. But it didn't go that way. What happened was the dudes sat down. As soon as they sat down, I turned around, and I seen him. He threw his head up. I threw my head up, man. And I got up, threw my jacket off. Dude came towards me. I came towards him, and we started getting them up. But my homies, they chilled, because they were just like, it's a one-on-one. We met up in the middle. We started getting them up. And so, but then the other dude that we didn't know was with the other dude that they were together, right? They were both from the same gang. So he gets up, man. They start jumping me. So and obviously my homies, man, they got to jump in. If they don't, man, they're done. You feel me? So they got up, man. It was like 4-on-2. You know what I'm saying? And then so we started getting them up. And but there was a sergeant. He climbed on my back, man. He climbed on my back, tried to put me in a headlock, right? And I'm running around this dude swinging on my back, man. I'm trying to get this dude off of me, and I'm not a big dude, but he's even smaller than me. So this dude's on me trying to choke me out. Well, they have one of the rivals at the time. They had him on the ground. They already had tackled him, and he was looking up at me, handcuffed, right? He was on his belly on the ground, looking up at me, and I'm like, he starts calling me all kinds of crazy shit, and starts throwing out, man, and I carried that little sergeant with me, man. I booted that dude in the face, man. His head just went back and forth, you know what I'm saying? And that's when I started kind of losing a little bit of consciousness, because and I just could hear my homie in the back like, hey man, let my homie go, man. And so yeah, man. So I'm right when because I have asthma, man. So you know, if I'm gonna get him, I gotta get him quick. So that guy, and then him choking me was, you know what I'm saying? It made it hella hard. So I'm going down on one knee, right? I'm going down on one knee because I'm about to pass out. This dude's over here choking me out, man. He thought he was in the UFC. So I dropped down to one knee. He finally lets go, man. And you know, I let a big breath out, and they tackled me to the ground, because I always try to fight it. I don't know why, man. I mean, they got hella guards. You ain't gonna beat them. So they ended up taking me to the ground. Finally tackling me, man. They take us to the hole, and like I said, man, that first day you're just looking around because there's a fluorescent white light that never turns off, man, and you're just looking around and you're just like, God damn, man, here we go, you know, another, and what's gonna happen now? You know, I'm gonna sit here, I have to come up with something to tell my family why I'm back in the hole, because my family, like I said, we were never really into gangs like that. So it was surprising to them, you know, that I kept going back to the hole for this and that things that I would make up. But yeah, man, for that incident right there, they gave me an assault on an inmate. They gave me another assault on an inmate, and the administration was fine. Like, look, man, this guy, we need to give this guy at least 18 months in the hole. You know, we need to give him a program. That's what they call it when they give you start off with 6 months. You go from 6 to 9 months. From 9, you go to 12. From 12, you go to 18. From 18 to 24. From 24 to 36. You know, I pretty much went through all those steps. You know, I did like 6 years in solitary confinement total. So that time I did 18 months. You know, and it's hard, man. I mean, like I said, sometimes you're in the hole and you know there's something going on with your family on the streets. There's nothing you can do about it. No matter how much you want to go make a phone call, you have to just write letters, man. And sometimes those letters don't come. You know, sometimes when you're in the hole, man, time moves, time stops. But we forget that the world doesn't stop moving out here, you know. So sometimes we get into this depression, this despair. Like when I was in there, and I'm like, man, what's going on, man? Like, and I'm not really understanding that the world is keeping on moving, man. The world's gonna keep moving with or without me, you know. But I spent 18 months there, you know what I'm saying? That's like my first time that I did a nice little long stretch. It's like a year and a half in prison right there, or I mean, excuse me, in the hole there. And in Clallam Bay, you know, it's not too bad. The whole it's one of the, I mean, we're talking about the hole here. It's one of the better ones throughout the state. That's not, you know, it's not as confined, you know, where it makes you just feel like you're going crazy, man. It's pretty big. But anyways, yeah, that's where I'm going to leave off this episode here with this story. And, after I get done, So next following video is going to be when I finally get to the penitentiary, you know, where headquarters at, like where all the homies, that's where it was like, that's where everybody went. That's where all the rules and shit was coming down from. And so I'll get into that also. But hey, thank you guys for staying with me this long. And thank you guys for supporting my channel. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share. And until then, I'll see you guys.